goes on and on. You post with one click, you're the right piece for the job. Try it for free at jobget.com/handle. Jobget.com/handle. That's jobget.com/.
Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure and for it easy to remember steps. It starts with a monitor. Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is out. Visit managerbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
What do fans of country music and exclusive deals have in common? A chance to rock out with country's biggest superstars. Get this month's Valpak Blue envelope for your chance to win a trip to the iHeart Country Festival. Scan the QR code to stream an iHeart Country station. Then listen for details on how to enter the sweepstakes. You can win $100 instantly just by opening your envelope. Head to your mailbox to learn more today. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Seats indoors.
AmericanVisionWindows.com.
Live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app.
More stimulating going. KMI-AM is the Court Summer Show. Good Friday. LA County plans to repurpose a former Motel 6 in Whittier to create new housing for homeless people. Not sure how much work has to be done to that sucker, but they're going to knock that out. A woman was shot on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood. They didn't find the guy that did the shooting. And a 5,000-mile belt of seaweed is washing up on the Florida beaches. 5,000 miles of seaweed. It's the seaweed on the beaches there in Florida. Let's do a quick whip around. Stephanie, you got whip around music, right? You can knock that out, right? Things all right. In the National League, in Major League Baseball, National League, a fairly young season. I think most teams have played about 7 or 8 games. There are 15 teams in that. Okay, they're next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, there are 15 teams in the National League. I was right. And how many have a winning record? How many of them have a winning record this early on in the season? Stephanie. 15 teams. How many have a winning record? 5. All right. Crozier. Number 7. All right. Pelios McCann. Angel.
Let's go with 6.
All right. Dana.
I'm gonna go with 10.
10. Okay. You all missed it. Everybody was over. 4. 4 teams have a winning record in the National League. Isn't that wild? 4 teams. And you know who they are, the Dodgers, of course, and the Braves. Only 4 teams in the National League have a winning record. But guess who else has a winning record? The Anaheim Angels. Woo! Angels are atop the American League West by half a game over the Rangers. 2 games over the Astros. Astros practically eliminated already. Mariners and Athletics. Both Athletics, I think, after this weekend, could be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. It's possible. It's a little bit of a long shot, but it's possible. So the Angels are the number 1 team in the American League West. 4 wins, 2 losses, and their home openers tonight. I think they're the only team that has not played their home opener. No, the Blue Jays haven't either. So the Blue Jays and the Angels are the only 2 teams in Major League Baseball who have not played their home opener. And it's 7 games a lot. You know, to play your home opener in your 8th game, or in the Angels' case, their 7th game. But in the Toronto's case, they played 7 games, 7 road games before their opener. That seems like a lot. I don't know. Maybe it's normal. I don't know. It seems like a lot. So Angels tonight opening up. That's cool. There's going to be 40, 50. I don't know what the sellout route is at Angel Stadium, but it's going to be sold out tonight. All right, let's talk about my good friend Ben Affleck. Very impressive. This guy's learned Spanish. He took one of those Spanish courses, and now he's knocking it out.
Ben Affleck is my favorite story of the day. The Oscar winner is out on the press tour for his latest project, Air, a movie about how Nike and Michael Jordan created a sneaker empire. A recent interview with a media outlet called Cadena Ser has been blowing up the internet thanks to Ben's impressive language skills. Look at this.
Wow. La cosa importante a entender es que este no es la historia de Michael Jordan. Y también Michael Jordan no se aparece en la película. Es tan grande, tan importante, es tan magnífico. What do you say? It sounded like it's magnificent. Stephanie,
Unimportant.
do you speak Spanish, Angel? No?
A little bit. I wasn't really listening, but I understood a bunch of words that I heard.
Poquito, right? What about you, Stephanie? You speak Spanish? Yeah, a little bit. A little bit? Yeah, I'm gonna have a little bit. All right, let's man, I can get you in. Alrighty. Dana, do you speak Spanish?
I do.
You do. Okay. All right. Let's find out who speaks better Spanish, Dana, Angel, or Stephanie? Is it probably? I would say Dana, maybe. Are you bilingual? Are you fluent?
I think so.
Oh, okay. All right. Then you can knock this out for us, okay? All right. Here we go. La cosa importante a entender es que este no es la historia de Michael Jordan.
He's saying this is a good story.
So he said the first thing that's important to understand about Michael Jordan.
Okay. Y también Michael Jordan no se aparece en la película.
Michael Jordan doesn't appear in the show.
Oh, all right. Es tan grande, es tan importante, es tan magnífico.
He's so great and magnificent.
Oh, okay, that's good. No hay un actor en el mundo que la audiencia puede creer.
There's no bigger actor.
Okay, que la audiencia puede creer. Mira, es Michael Jordan. Van a creerlo.
That when they see Michael Jordan, there's no bigger actor than Michael Jordan.
So he said the same thing over and over.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It's not a good thing. That is really Ben Affleck. So if you go on TikTok, you're looking at TikTok, the fans are saying that they are obsessed with his Spanish language skills, but also a few years ago, he told Kelly Clarkson that he learned the language while shooting a show in Mexico when he was 13 years old. Wow. Super impressive. The interview, by the way, has some of us thinking back to a similar viral video of Bradley Cooper from 2014. See if you guys remember this.
All right, here we go, Dan. Chapter 2. Is that Spanish or French?
I think that's French.
Yeah, I think it's French too. That's an old French to me.
So that's Bradley talking about the amazing hairstyles in American.
I wonder if J-Lo and Ben freaking match.
All right, let's talk about that. They love the Tournament of Roses. They're now offering tours. You got that kind of time on your hands. Starting today, you can take a free tour of the home of the Tournament of Roses. Wow, I'd like to do that. That also serves as the headquarters of the Rose Parade and the Rose Bowl Games. You know, we always see the outside of that when they have the court and the queens and the ambassadors and all that stuff, but I've never seen on the inside of that house. I'd like to go in there and check that out. And the property was donated by chewing gum tycoon William Wrigley Jr. to the city of Pasadena. And the 1-hour guided tour takes place at 2 p.m. every Thursday through the end of August. You do need to make a reservation at tournamentofroses.com. There you go. Is that David Ono that's doing this? I think it is. The property was donated by chewing gum tycoon, and David Ono is old school like me. I didn't think anyone used that term anymore, but I still do. Like I'll say to my wife, I go, "Yeah, do you have any chewing gum?" And she'd be like, "What? What are you asking?" I said, "You have any chewing gum?" She goes, "How about why don't you just say gum?" Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. It's like, what kind of gum? There's chewing gum on the outside of the package. So, I like chewing gum. Yeah. Definitely, do you have any chewing gum with you today? No chewing gum. No chewing gum? No. All right, Danny, do you have chewing gum?
I do.
You do? All right, what kind of chewing gum do you have?
Mint.
Oh, I love menthol. Oh, that's
You're a mint.
great. Yeah. Yeah. That's the way to get around the menthol ban of cigarettes. Chew menthol gum and then knock out a cigarette. What? What did I do? Oh, sorry. Okay. Kids are listening. Oh, well, the kids are going to start doing that because I said so. Oh, okay. Well, just right. Okay. All right, we're going to take a break here. More with Coach, then we'll check in with Mo Kelly next on KFI M640. Coach, what's going on there, bub?
A worker shortage at the ports of LA and Long Beach has gone on for a second day, shutting down cargo traffic. Those two ports handle nearly 40% of all electric vehicle lineup for the third time this year to get more buyers over the high interest rates. The price cuts range from $1,000 to $5,000 depending on the model. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. There's the Crash Sun Valley.
Something on the 5, machinery northbound coming up on Sheldon. That's where at last check they were blocking the right lane. So take a look at that slow drive. It's causing. Watch for delays coming right up on the scene of this crash. Beyond, you got some slowing in stretches as you continue ahead towards the 14 freeway. It's also slow moving out of Griffith Park. This is the 134 eastbound. We're seeing a backup from almost Forest Lawn Drive, delays ahead towards San Fernando Road in Glendale. As you're heading into the Angels game tonight, the 57 northbound leaving the 5 is in decent shape, and southbound also looking good coming out of the Brea area. KF on in the sky helps get you there faster.
Ross Tucker, here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings. The Lakers play the Phoenix Suns tonight. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and D'Angelo Russell are day-to-day decisions now. Meanwhile, the Clippers welcome the Blazers tomorrow. Eric Gordon didn't practice today because of a hip injury, but he should be in the lineup for tomorrow's game. And national champion and UConn sophomore Jordan Hawkins enters the 2023 NBA draft today. He'll forego his remaining eligibility with Kevin Cody and the Huskies. I'm Drew Allen. Hey, it's Ross Tucker. If you'd like to make games a little more interesting, download and listen to the newest episode of the Even Money Podcast with DraftKings, releasing every Tuesday, available wherever you listen to podcasts, football and betting. The Even Money Podcast. This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has everything you need to travel, from passport photos to luggage, and now get 20% off your in-store purchase when you buy any travel service. Plus, if you count Lysol wipes are just $1.99 in-store. Oh my God, for in-store 8 exclusions apply. Get all set to jet at Staples. This week's Marketers Report. Raja Nadar, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, MasterCard, talks about measurement. Measuring electronic and money branding, the principles of measurement are the same, but the parameters that you measure are different. We measure, and what we find is our investment is paying for itself in movies. As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, conversations, trusted influencers, insights, and data you need to grow. Go to iHeartResults.com for more. You probably already know that Rosetta Stone is one of the best ways to learn a language. But did you also know that they offer a lifetime subscription to all 25 of their languages? Dabble in French, try your hand at German, learn a bit of Japanese, or even explore Swedish. And right now, you can get 40% off Rosetta Stone's lifetime unlimited subscription. Visit RosettaStone.com today to purchase once and learn for life. Rosetta Stone. A language is learned. A good night's sleep is more important than ever. A good night's sleep means you have a great next day. A bad night's sleep, the opposite. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed offers proven quality sleep and is designed to make a difference in your health and wellness, and does. You can customize, adjust each side of the bed to your ideal firmness and comfort and support to help you feel your best. Now, that firmness level is your sleep number. Mine happens to be 100. I like a particularly firm mattress. If I don't get a good night's sleep, I am not a happy camper the next day, and everybody around me knows it. Through April 10th, save $1,200 on the Sleep Number 360 i10 Smart Bed, plus special financing. Subject to credit approval, see sleepnumber.com for details. There are 30 locations in Southern California, including Santa Monica, the Irvine Spectrum, Huntington Beach, Westfield, Topanga. Sleepnumber.com. Golden Boys Cruises, Howard Trip. Guns N' Roses, you made it. CDC, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, Tool. You'll have big tickets for the entire Power Trip weekend. VIP camping in the Safari Tent Campground. All thanks to Golden Boys. Tickets are on sale now at howardtrip.live. Howardtrip.live. Enter for your chance to win now. iHeartRadio.com/howardtrip. You're actually going to a ChatGPT site, but you're not. When you log in, you're giving up your login credentials. That's why I'm logging in. Look, half the people mess up your name so bad, how they spell it. It's like, yes, you're not even warm. I mean, it's easy to find me at Mr. Mo Kelly. Mo Kelly, send all your hate mail to me. Send it all to me. Live 7 to 10 p.m. on JFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. This is how we do it.
Right, asking again.
And 640 Conway Show. Oh, Air Jordans, the 1998 Air Jordans from NBA Finals might be selling for $4 million. Old workers are in demand, thank God. And the Angels home opener is tonight. That's all interesting. Plus, Disney, they're going to start selling these annual passes again this month.
And later this month, Disney World will finally be selling its annual passes again. It's the first time since November of 2021.
Wow.
3 pass types will be available starting April 20th. There's the Sorcerer Pass and Pirate Pass. Those are for Florida residents only.
Ah, that sucks.
There's also the Incredit Pass, which is available for everyone. Prices will range from $399 to just under $1,400.
$1,400. All right.
$1,400.
Well, $1,400. I mean, it costs you, nearly $200 to go. So even if you went 7, 8 times in a year, I'll pay for it. So I'm excited. A season pass. I'd like to go to Disneyland every day. It'd be kind of cool. I had friends who did that. I had friends who had young kids. Oh, wait, my Cruncher did that. I had friends who had young kids. They would buy a season pass and take their kids there, once a week or so. And I don't know if that's the way to go or not. Maybe it's in our house. We went once a year. It was a special deal for us. And my dad would tell us in December or January, hey, look, we're going to Disneyland on April, 18th. If you behave. Hey, man, did we behave? For January, February, March, beginning of April, because we didn't want to be left behind. I remember one year, and my dad was serious about it. You screw around, and you're going to be left at home. And my brother went to one of those gag stores, called Oz, or whenever you can buy fake throw up and whoopee cushion. That's their gifts. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you buy a painting of dogs playing poker on velvet, or felt. Anyway, my brother went into one of those stores and bought itching powder. I don't know why they sold itching powder to a kid. Do you know what that was? I don't know. I think it was like fiberglass. What difference? Yeah, it was really bizarre. And they sold him itching powder. And at Encino Elementary School, he took the itching powder. He was in the 4th or 5th grade. He took the itching powder and spread it on all the desks during PE. So all the kids went out to play for an hour. They came back. And everybody couldn't stop itching. They were going crazy. Their arms were getting red. The fire department was called. The paramedics showed up. The cops showed up. And they couldn't figure it out. They evacuated the entire school. They thought there was something in the air conditioning, And then they thought, then they discovered it was my brother that did it. My brother. I used to get the gum packs that would look like it had one stick of gum in there. And then when you pulled it out, it was like a little sort of like a mouse trap, a rat trap. Yeah, oh man, I don't know why I love that. Yeah. Bang! Yeah. Sorry, what's some chewing gum?
I remember the Magic Store over on Hollywood Boulevard, and they have all the trick stuff in there as well.
Oh yeah.
And I used to get a gum also, Crozier, but you put it in your mouth and you start chewing it, and it turns black.
Oh,
So
that's
it's really
great.
all black and nasty.
And we were young, so we didn't question what chemicals were doing that. Like, what's in that? Well, it's mostly DDT and tar, and all the ingredients that make jet fuel is in that. Oh, cool. Well, that's why I ordered it. So yes, for everybody there. So my brother took the itching powder, threw it on the desk. Paramedics came, and then they closed the school down. So they cleaned the entire school up, and they found out my brother did it. So my brother was not going to go to Disneyland that year. My dad put him on the do not disturb list. He's not going. So we're leaving my dad's house to go to Disneyland, and my brother was not in the car. My dad was serious about it. And then my brother Jake, who didn't do it, is a very big heart, great soul, one of the greatest people, if not the greatest guy I've ever met in my life. He said, we were pulling out the driveway. He goes, hey, Dad, we stop the car. And my dad stopped the car, and my brother got out of the car. And he said, if my brother's not going, I'm not going. How classic is that? Wow. He was probably 8 or 9 at the time. Did Dad take off? What did he do? Oh, yeah. Barely wait till the door was shut, and that's good. No, my dad, it broke his heart, so they got everybody in the car, and everybody went, and my brother saved my other brother's Disney trip then. But man, I'll always remember that. They stopped the car, and he's nine, and he had the presence to say, "That's not fair." He effed up, but it's not fair, and I'm not going if he's not going.
I get the impression if it were your mom, she would have driven off.
No, if my mom would have put my brother in the hospital after the itching powder.
You'll go to Disneyland, but in a cab.
That's right. Yeah, she would have roughed him up pretty good. All right, so it is Good Friday today. Easter Sunday is coming up the day after tomorrow, and that's always a big deal, for Christians, Catholics, especially Catholics. They knock it out. That is a long mass on Sunday. That is the big one for Catholics. That's the one where my mom liked to go to the 12:15 mass for Easter Sunday. It started at 12:15. I think it was over by about 3:30.
Is that longer than like the Christmas Eve mass?
Yeah, for some reason that the big holiest day was Easter Sunday, and that's when the choir was there. So every 8 minutes you stop and the choir would knock out a couple of hymns, a couple of songs, and it was long. It was a lot of kneeling, sitting, standing, kneeling, giving. It was a whole bunch. Mo Kelly's lady with Mo Kelly coming up next. Did you work go to church, Catholic, Christian, what Christian, Protestant? Okay. So Easter Sunday is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. There's long services like that. I'm too lazy to get up for sunrise service. I just need to do it. Wait. That's all right. Yeah, I can wait till like 11 o'clock. It's okay. There'll still be Easter Sunday.
What's our big program tonight?
Well, you know how it is with Friday. So we have our great
9 o'clock.
Yeah, 9 o'clock. In that movie called Plastic, and we have all the biggest reveals from Star Wars Celebration 2023 so far. This week we get Kyle what's going on around you, near you, by you, which is free. They cough a little bit. Good food, good fun, and there's so much more coming up tonight.
Excellent. I'll be listening. Happy Easter to you and your family. And we'll talk to you on Monday. All right, Mo Kelly later with Mo Kelly coming up next on KFI AM 640.
Springtime. Birds are chirping, the sun's are shining, and you are back in an office building with windows that don't open. So,
KFI.
and the KOST HD2
Los Angeles, Orange County.
live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Fire. I'm Amy King, live from KFI 24-hour news here. Investigators in LA who lives near a home that had its trees burned says she hopes the person gets caught.
Then they figure out what's wrong with him and what is making him do this. And that there's no copycat from all of the exposures.
Investigators with the ATF, LAPD, and LA Fire are investigating. Police people have been posting flyers of the suspected arsonist. It shows a person in a black beanie, long sleeve button-up shirt, and pants. News brought to you by System Paving. Officials say it could take until the end of summer to fix all the potholes caused by recent heavy snowstorms in the San Bernardino Mountains.
A lot of these potholes are enormous, and it includes ones on state highways as well as county roads. They are big. They can be very dangerous.
Supervisor Don Rowe says the county is using a mix that allows the holes to be temporarily fixed while they're still wet. His crews are repairing all the holes in one neighborhood before moving on to the next. An office complex in Tustin is going to be turned into 40 new detached homes with up to 4 beds. We'll start by the end of the year. Move-in happening next year. Antibiotic-resistant bacteria has been found in LA County for the first time. USC Professor Adam Smith says the super bacteria found at 2 of LA County's largest wastewater treatment plants can resist the last resort antibiotic resistance.
Indicating that there is circulation of these antibiotic-resistant bacteria that could be concerning, especially for the immunocompromised individuals.
Smith says the bacteria are spreading because during the pandemic, people were more health conscious and doctors were over prescribing antibiotics. He says that could lead to a world where antibiotics are ineffective. Russia has hit parts of Ukraine it illegally annexed but doesn't have full control of. With ground and air-fired missiles, rocket launchers, and drones, the attacks have caused deaths, building damage, and power outages across the country. Ukraine's military says Russia launched 53 attacks from multiple rocket launchers in the past 24 hours. At least one person has been killed and 6 others hurt in a suspected attack in Tel Aviv. The Israeli Foreign Ministry says a car rammed into a group of people near a popular park, calling the crash a terror attack. ABC's Sherry Preston says Israel uses that term to describe any assault by Palestinians.
The incident happening amid heightened tensions that began with clashes at the Al-Aqsa Mosque and escalated after 2 Israelis were shot in the West Bank and Israeli airstrikes hit Palestinian targets in both Lebanon and Gaza.
Police say they shot the driver of the car. Social media videos show a body on the ground beside an overturned car. Multiple gunshots rang out. Pope Francis has watched the traditional Good Friday Way of the Cross procession to the Colosseum from his home. ABC's Marcus Moore says Francis stayed inside because of cold nighttime weather in Rome.
The next major appearance for the Pope will be on Easter Sunday, and that is when the Pope is expected to preside over the Mass.
Francis was discharged from a hospital in Rome last week where he was being treated for bronchitis. He's 86 years old. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy with lows in the 40s to low 50s tonight, partly cloudy tomorrow. Highs about the same as today, 60s to mid 70s at the beaches in Metro LA, 60s to low 70s for inland Orange County and the valleys, low to mid 70s for the Inland Empire, 50s and 60s in the Antelope Valley. Warming up for Easter Sunday with mostly sunny skies, highs in the 70s to mid 80s. About the same for Monday, then we'll cool down 10 degrees for Tuesday. Highs will be in the 60s with a chance of showers by Thursday. It's 64 in Brea, 65 at Lake Forest, 63 in Marina Del Rey, 65 in Burbank. The KFI Financial Update is sponsored by Jacoby & Myers Injury Attorneys. The Dow finished the day up 2.5 points. The NASDAQ added 91, S&P 500 815. The average price for regular gas in California is $4.87.
Don't wait. Maximize your compensation after an accident. Call Jacoby & Myers now. Justice for you since 1972.
Got a crash in Sun Valley on the 5.
Heading northbound just before Sheldon, it's typically the right lane, so watch for delays as you come across Tuxford. In the 101 southbound in Hollywood, traffic starts to stack up right around Santa Monica Boulevard. That'll stay busy as you approach the 110. That's where it starts to clear up. In the 15 northbound in Temecula, right at Temecula Parkway, some good news. Earlier wreck there has been moved out of lanes, but the bad news, your drive's still pretty busy from Rainbow Valley. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Pedro Moreno. You lost your cat up this tree?
Yeah, he's way up there and scared to come down.
Hang on, I'll get him for you.
Be careful, mister.
Thanks, kid. Here you go.
Where did you come from? And where's your mask and tape?
What? Oh, no, your mom and dad called us to clean out your shower drain.
Why?
They were up a tree, too.
Really?
Your drain was really clogged, backing up, and we have to stop that nasty stuff from invading your bathroom.
So you're a hero?
Try to be every day. We're rooter heroes.
Wow.
We make sure you live in a safe, clean house. So long.
Thanks for asking, George.
It's what a hero does.
If you have a clogged drain, call Rooter Hero Plumbing and Air. Go online at rooterhero.com.
See you at 99688.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get the timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-738-9900. That's 800-738-9900. Come to Dodger Stadium when the Cubs and Mets visit starting Friday, April 14th through Wednesday, April 9th to start the season off strong and get to the ballpark to cheer on the boys in blue. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/tickets. Addressing hair loss has never been easier thanks to advanced hair restoration, simple what-day treatment. The most difficult part? Making the call for your free consultation. Call 844-333-HAIR and get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. AdvancedHair.com. This is Jacob M. Ryan. If you've been in an accident, call 844-24-JACOB. More stimulating talk.
And I don't radio station.
p.m. 6:40. It's Good Friday. On Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Some of the larger stories that we're following this evening from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. We have more information regarding the Cash App founder Bob Lee and how he was murdered, and not necessarily why, but he died pleading with 911 for help. In Southern California, ports are shut today due to worker shortage, snarling cargo traffic. And there's this. Let me take you behind the scenes here at KFI. You may remember yesterday when I started off the show, almost like midway through the opening segment, we got news of this stabbing at a metro stop. And then Tuala ran down the hall to get some more information on it. And he printed it out, gave it to Amy King, and also gave it to me. And it was actually the information from the Tuesday stabbing. We thought, wait a minute, I thought there was one that just happened recently at like 5 o'clock on Thursday. So we went back and started, yeah, it was a stabbing which happened at like 5 o'clock on Thursday. And we gave you that information. 2 different stabbings over the course of 3 days at 2 different stations. And I understand it can get confusing trying to keep all of the violence separated in our minds. I'm not trying to be funny. Little did I know, as we were getting off the air last night, information was trickling in, news reports about a third person being stabbed in the course of 3 days, 2 yesterday, on Thursday. And 2 people were stabbed on LA's Metro Red Line yesterday. 3 hours apart, but at both at the same station. Just to quickly review, one stabbing happened just before 5 p.m. at the Red Line station in Hollywood at Western Avenue and Hollywood Boulevard. That's the one we told you about yesterday. And that stabbing, the suspect was described only as a male adult, ran from the scene, and the knife was not recovered. I don't have any more information. I don't have the information as to ethnicity. I don't have any information as to build. I don't have any information as to age or weight. I'm not holding back any information. Now, the train service was shut down during the initial investigation, but later resumed. The second stabbing that we didn't report on last night, because we basically were finding out about it as we were getting off the air, was reported just after 8 p.m. at the Red Line's MacArthur Park station. You may notice MacArthur Park is the station where they have the classical music. Just want to give you some context. A man was wounded after he was stabbed multiple times in the back of his head while he was riding on the train from the 7th Street station, that's downtown. Now, when I would come to iHeartMedia, I would ride that Red Line from Metro Center, downtown, 7th Street station, and I'd take it all the way up to North Hollywood. I know that line intimately. And some of the stops, you may be on a ride from anywhere from 2 minutes to 4 minutes, depending on where you are in between stops. So if there were a stabbing on the train while it's moving, there's not a lot you can do. There's really nowhere you can go. It's not like a New York train where you can just run between cars and everything. Once you're on in that car, on that train, you're stuck there. Short of just pulling the emergency brake. There's nothing you can do. And there's no one who's going to come help you. I don't know how many people were on the train. I don't know if there was someone who was able-bodied and able to intervene, or whether they would or could intervene. I don't know if there was any precipitating event or some sort of argument which transpired. I do know that we had 3 stabbings in 3 days. 1 on Tuesday, 2 on Thursday. And for all the jokes that I've been making about Metro and how unsafe it is, I'm not joking today. It is verifiably unsafe in the strictest sense of the word. There is a propensity for violence, just violence. I'm not talking about the unsanitary nature. I'm just talking about the violence right now. There is a potentiality and propensity for violence on LA Metro. It's not funny. I don't have any jokes because people are getting harmed. I don't know why. I was talking about this with Tuala. I don't know. I have to assume that there are cameras on the trains. I haven't been on the trains in quite some time.
But given what has been happening, I have to assume there has to be some surveillance of the trains. We know that there's surveillance on the platforms. But for whatever reasons, we can't get a description of the assailant. I don't know if this is the same assailant. It's the same line, in the same general area, in the same general time period of the day. Usually, I don't want to call it rush hour, but the evening hours in which people are leaving work. I don't know if all these are connected. I do know they're connected in my mind emotionally. In the sense of whether it's the same person or a different person, we're having multiple incidents of violence, violent crime on public transit. And for whatever reasons, nobody other people and you're getting attacked, that's your ass. Literally, that's your ass. There's nothing that you can do. And I would not want someone that I care about, someone I love, going on a metro train right now. And I'm not saying that to be, the hot take of the week. I'm saying that because LA Metro has not proven that it is safe in any way, or are they willing to address this head on in an expedient manner to make sure that the public is safe. I don't know what needs to be done. I don't know what these new security officers are doing or not doing. I mean, yeah, we had some fun with the green shirts and everything. We had fun with the classical music. But now people are just getting routinely stabbed. Routinely. It's not an isolated incident. It's not happening every now and then. We're not talking about the occasional homeless person who may fall asleep on the train, or you may see someone under the influence who gets on a train. Now, when I'm in Washington, D.C., just about all of those stops, you have, when you first come down to the subway platform, you will always see someone in one of those kiosks managing all the cameras. They can see everything that's going on everywhere. You will see Capitol Police, depending on where you're in the city. It's only because, one, you're dealing with diplomats, you're dealing with dignitaries, you're dealing with politicians. They protect that subway exceptionally well. They would never allow what is happening here to happen in Washington, D.C. And so we have to fundamentally reimagine what it means to protect public transit. If they can do it in other cities, they can do it here. So we're talking about, as far as I'm concerned, a lack of will, a lack of seriousness. This can't continue, not in this way. You just can't have citizens being stabbed or worse, don't forget, or worse, in a given day. It should not be routine where we open the news and we see someone's been stabbed again and again and again. This time, multiple times in the back of the head, and nobody knows anything. What the hell is going on? It's later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And when we come back, there's this new marijuana law, which is problematic for me personally, and it's going to be really problematic for possibly you and corporations professionally. We'll tell you about it and how it impacts California specifically in just a moment. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app now to the KFI 24-hour newsroom and ABK.
A federal judge in Texas, appointed by former President Trump, has halted FDA approval of the abortion pill mifepristone. It's been approved for decades. Shortly after the ruling, a judge in Washington state ordered the FDA not to make any changes to the availability of the drug, tied to another case. Police are looking for a man who robbed a bank in Queens, New York, by approaching an 81-year-old woman and putting her in a chokehold, then demanding money from the teller. Teller gave him $205 and he ran off. The woman's okay. Bad weather has forced suspension of play at the Masters in Augusta, Georgia. High winds toppled 3 pine trees near the 17th tee where spectators were standing. Brooks Koepka has a 4-shot lead. He's 12 under par. He finished his round for the day. Tiger Woods is hovering around the cut line. Going to see partly cloudy skies tonight with lows in the 40s and 50s. Partly cloudy tomorrow with highs in the upper 60s to mid 70s. This report brought to you by Clark Pest Control. We've got a crash in Sun Valley on the 5.
Heading northbound just before Sheldon Street, it looks like that crash has been moved out of the right lane. Rear drivers recovering from Lakerston. 101 heading north down in Silver Lake. Right at Silver Lake Boulevard, there's a crash that's partially blocking the off-ramp there, causing some slowing from Alameda. And if you're on the 110 southbound in downtown LA, right at 3rd Street, there's a crash blocking the middle lane. You'll see some heavy traffic as you come away from Stadium Way. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Pedro Moreno.
For over 60 years, Clark Pest Control has been California's leader in pest control technology. If you need help getting rid of pests, termites, rodents, mosquitoes, and much more, contact Clark Pest Control for a free estimate today. Call 1-800-WE-MEDIATE. That's 1-800-WE-MEDIATE. Or visit ClarkPest.com.
Mystical. Brought by Positive Coaching Alliance. Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance. PTA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org. In this week's Marketers Report, Chris Brandt, Chief Marketing Officer at Chipotle Mexican Grill, weighs in on the power of audio.
We use audio to reinforce what we're showing on TV, what we're showing in other digital channels. When your priority is driving reach, boy, everybody seems to listen to the radio.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, conversations, trusted influencers, insights, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
U.S. Bank is ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with retail banking in California by J.D. Power. Since California has home to most award shows, we've prepared a thank you speech.
To Californians everywhere, we've been proud to help you plan, budget, and save smarter. Our goal tracking and budgeting tools would have no place to shine if it weren't for you, and we can't thank you enough for that. And thank you to our real-life humans who go above and beyond for our customers every day.
For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Member FDIC.
Hurry to Jackson Newark for 50% off tax prep. But do it before April 9th. Limited time offer for new clients filing a participating location. Max savings $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
Hey, like my new bike? I thought you were buying a car. I tried. There's no availability. And look, wow, that's a lot of cars. Didn't they take a trade-in for a bicycle? It's brand new. Okay, probably.
The wait is over. New and pre-owned cars are available right now. Start saving by downloading the Roto app or check out ROTHSCHILD.com.
Do you have coins, jewelry, or precious metals and are looking to sell for top dollar? Sue DiGenova, CEO and owner of Tangible Investments, has become legendary by beating his so-called competitors' offers on these items by as much as 500%.
I had a diamond ring that's been an heirloom in my family for many years, so I went to a local jewelry store and they offered me $600. I just wasn't comfortable. I took it down to Tangible Investments and they offered me over $6,000. That store is absolutely awesome.
Stories like these are why Tangible Investments has become America's top dealer in precious metals, jewelry, and collectibles, and why Siddle has been featured on CNBC and quoted on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Over the past 30 years, Tangible Investments has bought billions in collectibles. That's billions with a B. Right now, demand is through the roof. Siddle encourages all his clients to shop the competition and then call in last. You'll be amazed at the difference. Guaranteed. Call now for an absolutely free, professional, no-obligation appraisal. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800.
Campbell Soup came out with scented candles.
Yeah, I can't
What are you going to do? Eat the candle? Instead of $24 for like $2, get yourself a can of soup and then eat it. The house will smell like it and everybody will be full and warm.
The Fork Report with Neil Saavedra. Tomorrow afternoon at 2 on KFI AM 640.
More stimulating talk.
Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. We're going to talk marijuana in just a second, but some of the bigger news stories that we're following in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Ahead of Easter, Consumer Reports calls for ban of chemical use in select sweets, candy. And also, Kanye West Donda Academy faces wrongful termination and racial discrimination lawsuit. Let's talk about the law. Let's talk about marijuana law. Let's talk about marijuana law right here in California. Assembly Bill 2188, which is set to take effect on January 1, 2024, prohibits employers from discriminating, that's the key word, discriminating against workers who are found to have traces of cannabis in their hair, blood, urine, or other bodily fluids by a test that detects only whether an employee has consumed cannabis in recent weeks. Full disclosure, I'm still a part-time employee for the city of Carson when I should do sports officiating for. As a condition of hire, we have to get a urinalysis drug test inclusive of marijuana. They were not going to allow us around the kids, basically, and be a drug user. So if anything shows up in your urine, you're done. That's a legal issue for the city of Carson. So this is something which would apply to me on some level. Now, as it stands right now, quote, you have to be able to test for current impairment, THC, and that's still being fine-tuned by the pharmaceutical companies. That's Shalene Bennett, a labor and employment attorney with Lieber Cassie Whitmore. If someone is impaired during work, the only legal evidence we can currently use is a witness, close quote. This is being framed, as I said, as a discrimination issue. This was signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom on September 18th as a workplace anti-discrimination statute that amends the Fair Employment and Housing Act to protect off-duty, off-site cannabis use. They make the argument, look, if I'm not at work and I'm not on the clock, I should be able to do whatever I want. But this goes one step further. The bill promotes marijuana use to the level of a protected class, on par with race, color, religion, sex, national origin, or disability. In other words, you can't fire the person for being a marijuana user unless you can prove that the person is impaired at work. And or what I'm saying, the science is not active at that point. So you can't fire me working for the city of Carson unless you know and have observed recent use, which would mean that I'm impaired at work, according to this.
But if you can prove that even if you have used recently, but you're not impaired, you're fine.
I don't know how this makes sense. But in other words, look, if I smoke marijuana 3 hours before getting on the clock, yeah, I'm most likely impaired on some level. But unless the employer can actually prove that I'm impaired, and the science suggests they can't prove it at this point with a reliable test, I think this is a dumb law. Now, let me be clear. If you've never listened to me, I've never been a proponent of recreational use of marijuana. For as much as you want to call me a liberal and, woke and everything, I've never, ever supported recreational use of marijuana. I don't care if everyone else votes for it. I don't care if everyone else loves it. I have just seen people in my family, my work circle, ruin their lives and careers because of the permissiveness of marijuana. And I'm not trying to get into a deep argument or debate about what's more harmful to the body, marijuana versus alcohol. I'm not having that silly ass debate anymore. I'm talking about the long-term impact of someone who uses it consistently. And someone who may use it on a semi-regular basis, it comes out. I mean, in the sense of you can see it. It affects their productivity. It affects their level of attentiveness to detail. It affects all of those things. Now, the issue here is whether you will be able to fire someone who is a user, but you're not witnessing them using. I don't mind that. In fact, okay, I think that's fine. I don't think that you should be able to fire someone if you're not actually witnessing certain behavior. But at the same time, there should be some latitude for the discretion of the employer. Look, if you can see someone who's obviously impaired, I should not have to prove that you were either using on the job or right before you got to the job. Because that means what? Do you just stop smoking before you get to the door? I can smell it on you. I can smell it everywhere around you. And you seem impaired. But from my understanding of this bill, I can't get rid of you. That doesn't make sense. And to have the dirty dirt, to say that it's on the level, or try to portray it as on the level with race, color, religion, sex, national origin, or disability is a crock of shite to me. Because historically, it wasn't like if you smoke marijuana, people were refusing. It wasn't like, that people, it was keeping you from getting a job in the sense of, well, if you smoked marijuana before, you can't get a job. Now, there are some jobs which do drug tests, and I'm glad they do. Like when I'm working for the city of Carson, I'm glad they drug test. We're working around children. If we're going to drug test a pilot, please drug test them. If we're going to drug test law enforcement, please do that. Because that impacts the public good.
It doesn't say. All it says is employees in the building and construction trades or applicants hired for positions that require certain federal background checks. So hopefully that's still pilots. So that should fall under hopefully the guidance.
Yeah. Now, and when I first started working with the city of Carson, I assumed they did a federal background check. I say assume because we were fingerprinted. They go down to the Carson sheriff station and they ran all our paperwork. I assume that's in a federal database. So if I did a crime in Cleveland, my fingerprints will probably come up regardless.
Yeah, if you're live scanned.
Yes, live scan.
Your permission on
Weren't you live scanned?
Yeah, we're live scanned because we're working around children.
But you're going. I know where you're going.
But this here, it looks to say that if I still am partaking of the marijuana on my off time, I should be good.
Okay, so let's gameplay this all the way down before we go to break. So you two all start as an administrator and working with special needs children can go ahead and use marijuana on your off time. Be somewhat impaired, let's say, wake and bake, as a lot of my friends do. And they're coming to work high or impaired on some level, and then working with special needs kids or just anybody's kids, working in an academic environment, and your job can't fire you for being seemingly impaired, or how about this? Bringing the smell of a controlled substance. It may be recreational use, but in terms of federal, it's still not legal.
Yeah.
So I can still call it a controlled substance around kids. Is that what you're? Because even the California law, you can't have it within so many feet of a school.
Well, yeah, it says that we fall under the exceptions, but we can file complaints.
Oh, sure. Do you have to follow with the green shirts?
Oh, snap.
It's later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. Keep your eye on that. We will be coming back to it. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And when we come back, if you go to my Instagram right now, at Mr. Mo Kelly, MRMOKELLY, you'll see a photo, Flashback Friday, of me. I am a sophomore in high school, South Torrance High School. And for what they call like these class competitions, these school assemblies, we met in the gym. And on this one occasion, me and maybe 3 or 4 of my friends, we gave a break dancing routine. You see a still shot of that. We're going to talk about breakdancing when we come back because it's the next big sport, maybe, and it might be coming to the Olympics. We'll tell you all about it in just a moment. Now to Amy King, who has the news.
A man who allegedly tried to kill someone, then led police on a chase for 2 hours, has been arrested in L.A. The man drove on surface streets with a flat front tire before he and 2 women jumped out of the car. The man then got into the backseat of another car that took off. The 2 women ran away on foot. Police arrested the man after the second car stopped and the guy tried to get away in a residential area. News brought to you by Jacoby and Myers Injury Attorneys. A dock worker shortage at the LA and Long Beach ports is stretched into its second day, halting cargo traffic at the country's 2 largest ports. The shortage comes several months into labor negotiations between the dock workers union and the shipping industry. The old contract expired last July. Combined, the LA and Long Beach ports handle nearly 40% of U.S. imports from Asia. LA County says all rain we've gotten has opened the door to more mosquitoes.
Rainwater collection backyard items like buckets, plant poters, word bags, and containers and toys and whatnot, and properly could come to these working for mosquitoes.
Greater LA Vector Control District Mayor Joe Coburn says mosquitoes only need an inch of water to breed. She says scout teams have hit the streets checking out a list of empty swimming pools, which are planned $24.5 billion merger of supermarket giants Kroger and Albertsons. Workers said yesterday the proposed deal would reduce competition, hike food prices, and put more than 5,700 employees out of work. The merger was announced last year and is pending approval by the Federal Trade Commission. Reuters says the two companies are already considering selling between 250 and 300 stores. The Wall Street Journal reporter arrested in Russia has been charged with espionage. Russian authorities claim Evan Gershkovich tried to get classified information about a Russian arms factory. Gershkovich was in court today and officially denied the charge. In the Russian legal system, the filing of charges means the formal start of a criminal investigation. The Labor Department says 236,000 jobs were added to the economy last month, while the unemployment rate edged down to 3.5%.
An encouraging thing is the labor force participation rate ticked up a little bit higher to 52.6%. What that tells us is more people are actually out actively looking for work and participating in the job market.
ABC's Alexis Christopher says recent bank failures are not included in this jobs report. Economists say the Fed may need to keep raising interest rates to tame inflation, which could lead to a recession this year. The Fed has already raised rates 9 times in the past year. We'll check some problems on the side next.
Here's what I want you to do as I tell you about Field of Greens. Just go to fieldofgreens.com right now as I tell you about it, so you can go along with me on this journey. Because most supplements out there, they're trying to fool you with this junk science. They're using the extract of fruits and vegetables, and you don't want that. You're not getting all the healthy additives that you can from fruits. Now, Field of Greens is different because they use the whole organic fruit and vegetable, not just the extract. It's not junk science. And that's why I use Field of Greens every single day. It's just one scoop of powder in a beverage of my choice. Each ingredient in Field of Greens scientifically chosen to support your vital organs. Talking about your heart, your lungs, your kidneys. Others help my blood pressure, metabolism, and I'm losing weight as well. But best of all, and this is why I want you to go to fieldofgreens.com right now so you can see it for yourself. It's backed by its better health promise. If your doctor doesn't tell you your numbers have improved after using Field of Greens at your next checkup, well, you can just return it all for full refund. You can't beat that guarantee. So let's get started together. I've got you 15% off your first order. Just go to fieldofgreens.com right now.
Southland weather from KFI. Partly cloudy. The lows in the 40s to low 50s. Partly cloudy tomorrow. Highs in the 60s to mid 70s. The beaches, Metro LA, Inland OC, the valleys, and Inland Empire. 50s and 60s for the Antelope Valley. Warming up for Easter Sunday into the 70s to mid 80s. About the same for Monday. And we'll cool back into the 60s and 70s Tuesday. It's 62 in Anaheim, 56 in San Clemente. We've got a stall in Boyle Heights on the side.
It's stuck in the second lane to the left, so overall it's a busy ride from Glendale Boulevard. On the 101 southbound in Hollywood, watch out for slowing approaching Western. That'll stay slow just before the 110. And things are looking up for you on the 110 southbound in downtown LA. Right at 3rd Street, a crash there has been moved out of the middle lane. Your driver is slowly recovering from Stadium Way. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster from Pedro Moreno.
Growing a business brings pressure. It's not easy to maintain momentum and still keep employees engaged. Fortunately, there's Inspirit. The scalable HR solutions help me with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance while giving my employees competitive benefit options. When my people are able to thrive, my business can adapt and prosper. With Inspirit, nothing seems impossible. Inspirit, HR that makes a difference.
How much do you think your home is worth this year? Do you think it's going to be worth the same next year? If you're thinking about borrowing on your home equity, your odds of getting more out of your home is probably higher now than it will be next year. I certainly believe that. Some experts predict that property values might decline over the next few years, making it more challenging for borrowers to tap into that home equity. If you need $75,000 or more, HMS Capital can help you borrow the money you need with the equity you've built. So whether you want to consolidate debt, make home improvements, or whatever your situation may be, HMS Capital may have the best solution to help you. No appraisal, credit report fees to apply. I've done 2 mortgages with HMS Capital. Clearly I'm a fan. I believe they're I-5698, 833-255-5698. Visit hmscapital.com.
Why
I want a plumber just tell me what it costs to unclog my drain over the phone. Is it that complicated?
No, it's not. They obviously have a price.
You've got a nice aroma. Who are you?
Mike Diamond, the smell good plumber.
Will you tell me how much to unclog my drain?
$99. Doesn't matter if it's a kitchen sink or a mainline sewer stopper. The smell good plumbers at Mike Diamond will unclog almost any drain for $99. There are a few exceptions, but you can read all about them on our website, thesmellgoodplumber.com. After listening to the
At Ralph's, shopping with pickup and delivery is the same as shopping in store. Same low prices, deals, and rewards on the same high-quality items. One small click for groceries, one big win for busy families everywhere. Start your cart today at Ralphs.com. Ralphs, fresh for everyone. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Save big on your favorites with the Buy 5 or More Save $1 each sale. Simply buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with your card. Ralph's, fresh for everyone.
At Southern California Edison, keeping our community safe from the threat of wildfire is our priority. We're installing insulated power lines, managing vegetation, and inspecting and upgrading equipment on 50,000 square miles of community and wild spaces. Helping to keep our communities safe is a job we take very seriously because the communities we serve are the communities we live and work in too. Learn more at sbe.com/mitigation.
Rosetta Stone, where language is learned. RosettaStone.com. For official rules and more information about contests on this station, go to KFIAM640.com/rules. Hey, follow us on all these things at KFIAM640. Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. That song is from the movie Break in 1984. That movie made $38 million, which was a lot for 1984. It was the highest grossing breaking movie of all time. There were few. It more than doubled its contemporary Beat Street, which is probably more highly regarded as a breaking movie, going really in the weeds here, but it wasn't as financially successful. I'm talking about this because I was growing up during the height of the breakdancing movement. There were many, many, many nights over the course of months and years that me and my friends, we were practicing breakdancing on the corner on either cardboard or linoleum, and we were just out there practicing moves, probably stupid, dangerous moves, looking back in retrospect. But we weren't harming anyone. We weren't getting into any trouble. It was great exercise. It was great in terms of just developing athleticism. I think people don't give it enough credit for it. But nobody in their wildest dreams thought that back then, and the movie Breaking came out in 1984, that 39, almost 40 years later, it'll be 40 plus years when we get to the Olympics, that breakdancing will be an Olympic sport.
Come on.
No. I'm all for it. And here's why. If curling can be an Olympic sport, damn it, breaking can be an Olympic sport. Damn right. If rhythmic gymnastics with that ribbon twirling all around can be an Olympic sport, I'm sure breaking can be an Olympic sport. Now, it is not a sport in the classic sense. Look, I would actually believe that breaking is more consistent with Olympic competition than baseball, and that's been an Olympic sport.
It's not a sport.
As breakdance, have you not seen the level of breakdance? Oh my goodness! It's a form of gymnastics. It is. Yeah.
It's gymnastics to music. The things that these individuals are doing, they're not just moving around to the music and dancing. The technique, the spinning, the acrobatics that goes into this, literally, there are gymnasts who look at that and say, yeah, I can't do all that.
Well, how about this? No, they're breakdancing moves which are taken directly from gymnastics. There's one of the all-time breakdancing moves is called the Thomas Flare, named after Kurt Thomas, what he did on the pommel horse. There
are breakdancing maneuvers and moves now that are literally akin to martial arts moves. The things that they do now, and look up some videos from the Olympic breakdance trials, and your mouth will hit the ground. It is beyond anything that you could have imagined from back in the day when it was all fun and games with Turbo and Ozone and Shabadoo and all that. Look, it's a whole new world.
I would say this, and the younger generation, they don't remember a time in which there wasn't breakdancing. And of course, it has evolved. When we started out, it was athletic, but it wasn't as acrobatic as it is now with people spit. The way that people spit on their heads now and the flips and jumps.
There are people who I saw a video yesterday of a guy who did a flip and landed into a handstand, but landed on his elbow, and then started spinning around just using his elbow, doing like an upward flare. I'm like, how are you physically able to do that?
And I would say for anyone who's not familiar with what it looks like, just imagine gymnastics set to music, but you would have no physical apparatus to use. You're just on the floor.
That's like the floor exercise.
Kind of like the floor exercise, but it also incorporates the backflips. It also incorporates the high-flying motions, but it's more gyroscopic in nature.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks
Again, Google Olympic B-boy trials.
It's more of a sport than most of the so-called sports is.
It's no curling.
That is true. I would say it's more of a sport than I would say a good 25% of the so-called sports in the Olympics. What is the sport where you're shooting a rifle?
Rifling.
Oh, there's a lot of there's the cross country skiing where you have to shoot their guns.
Right.
It's a funny one.
Right. Is that a sport? Come on. Is that a sport? I know it's competitive, but that doesn't make it a sport. I think there has to be a great deal of physicality for it to be a sport. Now, there are all sorts of competitions. Like, for example, not that it's an Olympic sport, but bowling, that's a game. Golf, that's a game. I don't care what anyone says. Let me just go ahead and offend people. Those are games. If you can play it in your 80s, it's not a sport.
Can chat with us and make friends, and they're like, we should do a space together. We're like, so it's like, yeah, let's think about it, and we'll tell the team. And that's how you fucking do it.
Gymnastics in your 80s on a high level, fucking no.
So the qualifier in there, you can do it in your 80s.
Yeah, you can do it. I've seen it. You can do it and also break their neck.
How could you do some of these breakdance moves in your 50s?
I wouldn't try. All the moves that I did back in the 1980s, they pale in comparison. They pale. But if you want to see a photo of me at my breakdancing peak, you go to my Instagram at Mr. Mokelly, MrMokelly. Let me just get it out of the way so I can. I'm looking at it right now. Ask 3 questions. Yes, that is a Nike tracksuit that I'm wearing. No, I don't have any socks on. Yes, those are karate shoes I'm wearing.
Are those the old school breakdancing gloves without fingers?
Yes, they are.
Fingerless gloves?
And those are not sunglasses I'm wearing. Those are my actual glasses.
I thought this was sunglasses.
No, they're my actual glasses. They're like they were too cool for school back then. Those are not sunglasses.
Oh, I love it.
They are my actual glasses. They were tinted, and I've been blind to this day since I was 8 years old from a head injury. My doctor said. No socks. No socks. But you couldn't tell me anything. I would actually wear that to the mall and act like I was cool. And then if there was look, if there could be a break dance, a call out, I was ready to go. I was ready to go anytime, anywhere. It did not matter if it was the mall, on the corner, wherever. I was pretty decent at it. I wouldn't say I was great. I was still pop lock, but I can do some of my breakdancing moves, but I probably would hurt myself, and I really don't want to do that. But, I'm for any team. I'm sorry, but I'm for breakdancing in the Olympics, given the bar of what an Olympic sport has been over the past 50, 60 years. I'm not trying to denigrate everyone's sport, but there are a lot of ones which are
you denigrated a bunch.
Oh, I did denigrated some. I just said, look, if those are in, then breakdancing should be in. That's all I'm going to say. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Star Wars Celebration.
celebration 2023. What we know so far, some huge revelations and announcements, movies and series which are coming up. We'll tell you about them next. KFI 8640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app now. To anything at KFI 24 hours even.
LA County Sheriff's deputies are looking for a guy who fired several shots in an apartment complex in West Hollywood. A woman in an adjacent apartment was shot twice with bullets that came through the wall. After a 9-hour standoff, deputies stormed the apartment, but the shooter wasn't there. Rise Up for Abortion Rights has held a rally outside the federal courthouse in downtown LA to protest a federal judge's ruling in Texas that strikes down the decades-old FDA approval of the abortion pill mifepristone. The government has 7 days to appeal the ruling. And here's a bit of a spoiler for you. Lucasfilm has announced it'll make 3 new live-action Star Wars movies. One of them will be the return of Rey. Not going to tell you anything else, so you can hear the latest from home. That partly cloudy skies tonight, lows in the 40s and 50s. Partly cloudy tomorrow with high stuff, same as today, 60s to mid-70s. This report brought to you by thewaterwise.com. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. We've got a stall cleared. Ian Boyle heads on the 5.
Okay, southbound after 10 has been moved out of the second lane to the left. Your driver is slowly recovering from about C2. And in Alhambra, 10 westbound at the 710, there's a crash involving an overturned semi-truck that has the connector to the 710 south shut down, so it's a heavy ride from Fremont. And in Glen Helen, that's going to be right around Glen Helen Parkway. You'll start seeing brake lights as you make your way into the down pass. Pretty slow ride heading uphill that clears up after 138. KFI the get you there faster from Pedro Moreno. Brought to you by the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, with rebates for water-saving devices and tips to reduce water use inside and out. Visit bewaterwise.com. That's bewaterwise.com.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com, and I sell custom blinds designed for do-it-yourselfers. Unlike stock blinds offered at big box retailers, Blindster blinds are custom made for your windows and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
The House Money Podcast helps you live a richer life by teaching you how to handle the money you have in a more thoughtful, purposeful way. Join hosts Joel and Matt for personal finance nuggets that actually make a difference in your life.
Well, the number one rule of cheap travel is to let the deal drive the destination. Bali, it might not be on your radar, but if the price is right, it should be. Right, yeah. When you take this tactic, it allows you to travel more if you're doing it for so much less money.
Listen to How to Money on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, Miranda. National Beer Day is coming, so I'd like to book a room for Monday and Tuesday. Now your top reason to visit Miranda.
It's not crazy. You're free to enjoy chocolate bunny April 9th.
Number 2,
The legendary Winnie Milky live this Friday.
and the number 1 reason.
With the split sunglasses and a chance to upgrade your Ray-Ban when you earn 500 points on your reward card, the 10th or 11th.
Miranda, good times. You lost your cat up this tree?
Yeah, he's way up there. He's scared to come down.
Hang on, I'll get him for you.
Be careful, mister.
Thanks, kid. Here you go.
Where did you come from? And where's your mask and tape?
What? No, your mom and dad called us to clean out your shower drain.
Why?
They were up a tree too.
Really?
Your tree was really clogged, backing up.
Really?
Try to be every day. We're Rooter Heroes.
Wow.
We make sure you live in a safe, clean house. So long.
Thanks for asking, George.
It's what a hero does.
If you have a clogged drain, call Rooter Hero Plumbing and Air or online at rooterhero.com.
CO99688. Did you know your completely free iHeartRadio app is also your home for hit podcasts? New for you this week, check out Bond's Purpose with Jay Shetty. Discussing philosophy, life, and conversations with the biggest stars in the world. Listen today on your free iHeartRadio app. This is Joel from How to Money. Coming up this week, we're going to talk about electric vehicle tax credits. A lot of them are actually going to go away quite soon if you're in the market for an EV. What should you do? How should you respond? We'll discuss How to Money with Joel Larsgaard. Sundays at noon on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
But I pale in comparison in terms of my nerd knowledge when it comes to Star Wars. So while I have been very conflicted in recent years, I vowed that I would never go to another Star Wars movie because I was so angry at how the most recent trilogy, in my opinion, defecated on the original characters. The previous trilogies had no respect for the original cast and didn't really develop characters that anyone cared about. They didn't pay off any of the growth. I don't believe that Kylo Ren was 1/30th of Darth Vader. The villains weren't that strong, and I'm not so sure the heroes were strong at all. They weren't memorable. Now, did they make a lot of money? The movies, yeah, they made great money, but I don't think anyone was endeared to it. So when it was announced that they were going to have more Star Wars movies, I was like, man, give me more series. Give me more Mandalorian. Give me Ahsoka. Give me the Acolyte. Give me more Andor, for that matter. I would rather see more series because the series tend to be a little bit more serious than the Disney-fied Star Wars movies of the past 8 years. Yes, the sequel series, it did defecate on the legacy of Star Wars. That is a fact. But as Star Wars moves forward and Kathleen Kennedy has taken a role as just producing, she's not trying to step into the creative zone anymore. I'm done with bringing in individuals that I'm familiar with, that I believe are fans. Jar Jar Abrams is somebody who she knew from her time in Lucasfilm, and he was, I believe, an intern maybe or someone who worked under her. And she said, hey, when I get to do something big, I'm putting you on it. She did, and he just copied and pasted some of the greats from the original Star Wars trilogy. And his goal was to introduce Star Wars to a new generation because those of us who grew up on it were long in the tooth. Guess what, folks? Star Wars, for the most part, is not really for us. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, but they're trying to move away from that as far as the big picture, which is why they are bringing Ray back. Ray will be starring in one of the first of the Star Wars films being rolled out. That 15 years after the Last Jedi or the Rise of Skywalker, and she's training a new generation of Jedi. I'm with it. I think Daisy really needs a shot. She deserves to have a story told with people who care about Star Wars. Star Wars right now is being shepherded by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni for the most part. Dave Filoni, who is writing also a humongous Star Wars feature film directed by James Mangold, who's coming off of Dial of Destiny. We'll see what he does with that. But James Mangold, he's a great director, period. And if we know Dave Filoni is doing it, then you know it's going to be hardcore Star Wars. I hope so. I hope that they will take the best of the series, when I say the series, and/or Mandalorian, that tonality, and also the characters that they've developed, and then integrate them into the movies. I don't want to see a Star Wars movie, for example, if it's set 15 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and then not have Grogu. That would just seem like it would have to. And I don't believe that Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau, for everything that they've done with the Star Wars series, the things that they've done which have appealed to you and I, the things that may not have, but also did bring in new fans, they are hardcore Star Wars. They are more Star Wars than anyone next to maybe George Lucas. I think George Lucas is the only one. I don't think he's a Star Wars fan. I'm not saying in the beginning, from since the beginning with George Lucas, the next nearest creators of Star Wars that we have are these two. They are giving us some of the best Star Wars we've ever seen on television. And now that they've been given the keys to the kingdom, and they are bringing stuff back to the big screen while also keeping stuff on the small screen. The Acolyte, giving us a story telling us the origins and the beginning of the Sith Order and the rise of the Sith Order. Of course, we see the trailer now for Ahsoka. That series looks like it's going to be starring Rosario Dawson. Yes, there's going to be, of course, more Mandalorian. There is Skeleton Crew, Jude Law coming to Star Wars. Drift Raider in outer space. Bunch of kids. That may be more for the kids, okay? But you got to do some stuff for kids. So I would tune in just for Jude Law. That's just me. He's a great actor. If he's coming to which brings us right up to Rogue One. This is the best time in the world to be a Star Wars fan.
Well, slow down.
It is.
The best time in the world to be a Star Wars fan was back in the 1970s and 1980s.
Yes, I rewatched Return of the Jedi the other day, and I said to myself, we are also fooling ourselves as far as our belief that film may have been the greatest film of all time.
No, I don't say that. I'm just saying the characters we really cared about there.
Yes, and those films were poorly written and poorly acted. Some of the dialogue, it was
still better than the horrible Last Jedi.
That is true. Nothing will be worse than that. Nothing will be worse than the second one of the trilogy. Which one was that? Where they're at the slow speed? That's right. The Last Jedi. Oh, that was trash. That was god. There's nothing worse. But that is why anything that Rian Johnson does, I will not watch. What do you think, Ryan? He will be Rian forevermore. I will not watch anything that piece of trash is associated with. He should be banned and barred from Hollywood. I did not. That's not because he had something to do with it. I said, oh no. This from all of Hollywood will get no more of my time.
Okay, so he's not coming on the show then, right?
And maybe after this, he's not going to want to.
I don't know. Well, I know someone who does want to come on the show, and his name is Nick Taliotti. So at the top of the hour, you know how we do it on Fridays, especially Good Friday. This weekend with Nick. Next, later with Mo Kelly. KFIA 640, we're live everywhere. And Swallow, you're wrong about Star Wars. On the iHeartRadio app.
Wishing a happy Easter to all our peeps. Peeps. KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Just fired on campus. I'm Amy King, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Officials at the University of Oklahoma say they're investigating possible shots fired on campus and have told people to shelter in place. The university tweeted earlier there was an active shooter around the Van Fleet Oval and to take immediate action. It says run, hide, fight. A federal judge in Texas, appointed by former President Trump, has halted FDA approval of the abortion pill mifepristone. It's been approved for decades. The government has 7 days to appeal the ruling that allows abortion pills to be mailed and dispensed. Vice President Kamala Harris reacted to the decision.
It is contrary to what they put public health policy to allow course policy to the FDA what it should do. This is as long as the FDA looks at things.
After that ruling, a judge in Washington ordered the FDA not to make any changes to the availability of the drug tied to another case. Legal experts say the dueling rulings are likely to end up in the Supreme Court. News brought to you by Pacific Coast Termite. Researchers at USC found antibiotic-resistant bacteria for the first time in LA County, which means it's spreading.
The bacteria were found in 2 wastewater treatment plants, which serve almost 8 million people. USC Professor Adam Smith says the bacteria can resist the last resort antibiotic, Colistin.
Because we are overprescribing antibiotics, and that definitely happened during the pandemic. People were more sensitive about their health.
For example,
You go to the doctor, you have a severe cold. A doctor might prescribe antibiotics, even though a cold is caused by a virus, and the antibiotics are completely ineffective against it.
he says bacteria are specifically dangerous to the immunocompromised and could lead to a world where antibiotics are ineffective. In LA, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
Video's been released showing the moments before Cash App founder Bob Lee was fatally stabbed in San Francisco. ABC's DeMarco Morgan says the video shows the tech founder stumbling outside an apartment building around 2:30 in the morning Tuesday.
He falls to the ground, then attempting to fly down a passing vehicle, blood on his hands. Finally, he staggers up and walks out of frame holding his chest.
Lee had called 911 and said, "Help, someone stabbed me." He died minutes after he walked toward a police car. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas says he was not required to disclose the trips he and his wife took that were paid for by a Republican mega donor, Harlan Crow. Thomas says Crow and his wife are among their dearest friends. He says he was advised by colleagues that personal hospitality from close friends didn't have to be reported.
They do not need to, the law says, disclose personal meals, personal hospitality, stays at people's homes. That is exempt.
ABC's Devin Dwyer said it's the travel flights and cruises that cover about 2 decades that have raised concerns. ProPublica reported yesterday that one trip
Thomas took in 2019 would have cost him at least $500,000 if he had chartered Crow's yacht and plane himself.
It's not every day you get a moose walking into a building.
A moose has wandered through a medical building in Anchorage, Alaska to chow down on some of the plants in the lobby. Security Director Randy Hughes says he made an overhead announcement for safety yesterday about the intruder, but people were attached to the moose like a magnet.
Once he finally was able to make his way out the door, stood in the middle of our health park circle for a little bit, and then walked over to the other side of our building and took an afternoon nap after his meal.
Hughes says there's never a dull moment at the hospital. Officials say it wasn't the first time a moose has gone into the building. Bears have also tried to get into the emergency room in the past. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy with lows in the 40s to low 50s. Partly cloudy tomorrow, highs about the same as today, 60s to mid-70s at the beaches in Metro LA, 60s to low 70s for the inland Orange County and Valley areas, low to mid-70s in the Inland Empire, 50s and 60s for the Antelope Valley. It's going to warm up for Easter Sunday with sunny skies and highs in the 70s to mid-80s. About the same for Monday, then we'll cool down about 10 degrees Tuesday. It's 63 in Los Alamitos, 57 in Santa Clarita, 62 in Seal Beach, 64 in Sherman Oaks. Got a semi-truck crash in Alhambra on the 10th.
That's heading westbound. It's overturned in the connector to the 710 southbound, so that's going to be shut down for a while. It's going to be causing some delays right now from about Fremont Avenue. Mid-city on the 10 heading eastbound, watch for slowing as you approach La Cienega. Starts to clear up for you as you approach the 110. And on the 110 northbound, that's going to be in South LA, right at Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Earlier crash there has been moved out of lanes. Your drive's recovering from Gage Avenue. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Pedro Moreno.
You should choose your air purifier like your life depends on it because, well, it's just life. The recent Ohio chemical disaster showed us toxic air threatens our health. EnviroCleanse is the next generation in home air purification. It's specifically designed to wipe out airborne viruses, germs, and chemicals known to cause allergies, illness, and difficulty breathing. Even toxic fumes from the recent train derailment were no match for EnviroCleanse. A single EnviroCleanse unit removed 99% of the dangerous compounds that were found in the homes near the chemical disaster. If it can clean the air after a toxic spill, imagine how it can help keep your family healthy. Only EnviroCleanse comes with a free air quality monitor. Visit ekpure.com and use the promo code Conway for 10% off your EnviroCleanse home purification unit. Plus, you get the free air quality monitor and fast free shipping. That's $150 savings. Visit ekpure.com, promo code Conway. ekpure.com, promo code Conway.
Imagine it's the last ride, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are taking you for a ride. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way, or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about treating it with linzess. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine what could relief from IBS-C mean for you. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
At Mike Diamond Plumbing, we smell good. Show up on time or your house call is free. MikeDiamond.com.
Cold as ice.
More stimulating talk.
And I don't radio station.
You know what to do for this weekend. You can make me your friend. A bunch of things to do and see. And all that's on the scene. From Facebook to Instagram. Not very fun to be there. You can bet that Nick knows what
It's later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And joining me, of course, in studio, as he's wont to do every single Friday, is Nick Alioki, as we find out what's going on this weekend with Nick. I have to ask you first, yes, sir, evening to you. Good evening. Now, did you put together this rundown of what you want to talk about with Koala Shark? Because it seems like you're doing him a solid with all this Pasadena talk you're getting ready to give us.
No, it's funny you say that, but I might as well have been, because I don't know what you're planning for Easter, for the holiday weekend, if you got anything to see, but...
No, you got stuff for us?
I got stuff for you. I got plenty of stuff, but it's so funny to think that way, because there's so much going down in Pasadena. In fact, Mo and I were in Pasadena on Sunday this past week for the Wiggle Waggle Walk, and that was an amazing time, so we got to hang out there. But yeah, there's a lot going down this weekend, coincidentally, in Pasadena. It is the Rose Bowl. That's very good. It's a little bit different, but here it is where you're really... So